Whenever a video starts with an unboxing, you know it's going to be something special. And this time, it's really special. This is AMD's redemption arc after the absolute train wreck that was my 7900 XTX build a few weeks ago. The project ended with me scrapping the whole thing and switching to a 4080, thanks to completely broken drivers. So when I got my hands on this Radeon RX 9070 XT 16GB at UK RRP no less, I jumped at the chance to see what all the fuss was about. The internet's buzz with reports of huge driver related performance gains, with some claiming it even beats the 5070 Ti. First impression, this car feels solid, well built and way more confidence inspiring than the RX 7900 XTX, which, let's not forget, launched at nearly double the price. And just for fun, here's a second unboxing, the Thermalright Frozen Warframe 360mm AIO cooler with a built-in display. Is the display gimmick strapped to a very capable cooler? Yes. Can it show funny GIFs? Also yes. That's all you need to know. Now onto the build properly. I'm starting off with a Ryzen 7 7700 on a B650 ROG Strix motherboard. Sleek, clean, and honestly it looks fantastic. I did consider going to 7800 X3D or even a 9800 X3D, but the performance gains didn't justify the extra £150 on a bill of materials. The RAM isn't the fastest out there, but it is 6000 Mbps CL38 at just 1.25 volts, which means there's a ton of overclocking headroom. DDR5 handles the same voltages like DDR4, so 1.35 volts is totally safe for daily use, and even 1.4 volts is fine if you're feeling bold. Thankfully, you don't need to go anywhere near that high to hit 6000 CL30, and with RGB lighting it's hard to complain. I was originally going to use a G-Skill Trident Z5 Neo RGB, but one stick was dead on arrival, so I took a chance on this kit and saved a few quid. Now, where I didn't save any money was the case. The Montech King 95 in red, because this is a full AMD build. And it is absolutely stunning. The only thing holding it back from being my favorite case of all time? No vertical GPU mount support. It makes no sense, the build quality is phenomenal, it comes with both curved glass and front mesh panels, swinging cable management doors and loads of accessories. Why they didn't make the expansion slots rotatable is beyond me. Anyway, rant over, let's get back to the build. With the motherboard and components installed in a pre-dressed case, it's time to bring it all together. The SSD is a brand new NeTAC PCIe Gen 4 and the PSU is 750 watt EVGA Gold unit. Starting with heaven, 313.4 FPS average. But what really matters is that it's only 10 FPS behind the 24GB 7900 XTX or RTX 418 pure Rasta. That's a huge generational leap, especially with the 300 quid price gap in favor of the 9070 XT. Even if it doesn't outright beat the 7900 XTX, the value alone makes it a winner. Fortnite was the shocker. It outperformed a 7800 X3D plus 4080 setup by a noticeable margin. There's this weird split with AMD GPUs. Garbage sites like User Benchmark all hate them, while more objective reviewers show AMD pulling ahead in quite a few titles, but with the nuance of different results at different resolutions. But what I wasn't expecting though is for Fortnite to be the shining example of Radeon competence it is at 1440p while recording. Black Myth Wukong still isn't perfect. It was unplayable before and now, well, it's almost playable. Max settings still rely on frame generation to smooth out a 30 FPS experience, which isn't ideal. But if you dial down the ray tracing just a bit, not cripple it like before, you can hit 60 FPS, and frame generation easily pushes that to 90 plus. It's a decent experience now, even if the game still isn't optimized for AMD GPUs. Horizon Forbidden West runs above 110 FPS at 1440p with no upscale. I had a 4080 on hand to retest, that hit around 125 FPS with DLSS. I did expect the 9070 XT to do well here because, well, this is a console port and both PlayStation and Xbox employ Radeon graphics. Oh, and did I mention, it looks fantastic. As expected, Farcry 6 was slightly bottlenecked by the non-X3D CPU, but it still averaged 120 FPS, and 4K is definitely on the table if you're picky. Assassin's Creed Shadows averaged 66 FPS, That might not sound amazing until you compare it to the 4080 at 69 FPS and the 7900 XTX at just 44. In this context, it's actually a brag-worthy result. But somehow it kinda gets better from here, as I actually used the machine to play a good few hours of the story. And the settings that I liked most shocked me. I ended up disabling upscaling altogether, which netted about 45 FPS on average to get the most detail possible in all textures, and then enabling frame generation which smoothed everything out. And contrary to every expectation I had, I didn't hate it, not at all. Dragon Age, in my favorite GPU melting intro sequence, posted just over 100 FPS on average. There were a few dips into the high 80s during scene transitions, but they weren't jarring. Overall, during normal gameplay, it ran buttery smooth. That is, unless every particle effect was firing off at once. Honestly, I'm nitpicking here because overall the experience was great. Is it as good as my 5090 downstairs in the living room? No. But then again, this whole build cost exactly half of what I paid for my 5090 brand new, so I feel entitled to call that a massive win. Cyberpunk 2077, with everything maxed out, except path tracing of course, broke the 100 FPS barrier. It was just 4 FPS behind the 4080 and a full 25 FPS ahead of the 7900 XTX. Considering 9070 XT costs less than a used 4080 or 7900 XTS and comes to full warranty, the result is mind-blowing. And in the end, there's no single right answer, it depends on what you play. If Black Myth is high on your list, a used RTX card is probably the better choice. But if you're a Fortnite regular, the 9070 XT brand new with full warranty suddenly becomes a no-brainer. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching and hope to catch you in the next one.